Hey y'all, it's Regina, or Gina, and welcome back to my channel. At the time that I'm making this, I think it's March 18th. Days are getting a little rough, and we are in the middle of a pandemic. And with that in mind, I did just want to say first that I get if things are feeling like really out of control and really overwhelming. This video is sort of a catalog, a journal, an observation of some of the things I've noticed in me as someone who lives with mental illness and is has been trying to manage my symptoms or manage like life living in the middle of a crisis. It's mainly, I think, three themes that I will touch on, along with some tips that I've figured out for myself or some things that I'm just working on. Hey, let's go! One of the first things that I began to notice as the severity of this pandemic began to settle in for me or began to become very loud was emotional eating or disordered eating for me. This is a trigger warning if disordered eating is something that is really hard for you to talk about, hear about. I totally understand. I was moving with these continuous baby steps towards creating some space between my urges to emotional eat and the action, and then I could almost feel the moment when I was like, fuck it. I've just been like, bruh, like the magnitude of this crisis is so big that like you gotta do what you can to cope is like the mindset that I have. Whereas I think before it was like, yeah, I'm not sure if like the things that I'm like moving with on a daily basis warrant, this kind of coping. My tip with emotional eating, if you've noticed it pick up for you too, or if you just have any habit that you have a lower, that you're like leaning into during this moment, during this crisis, is mainly to try to suspend self-criticism or have space for self-compassion. Is something that I've been trying for myself. With self-compassion, I notice how scarcity primes fear and anxiety for me. And with that in mind, I'm trying not to adapt to my emotional eating by taking things away, because I know that that is something that is really hard for me to do right now. What I'm instead trying to do is add in things, adding in nutrient-dense foods that can also be high volume too. So I can feel full, I can feel satiety without making myself feel pain or making myself hurt. In a bigger way, and I think a much more meaningful way, self-compassion allows me to have observations without value judgments or without a decision or belief that something is good or bad when I've done it. And to me, that's allowed me a lot more space than shaming myself does. It allows me to make more decisions that take into account my full health rather than decisions that sort of blunt or stop pain. Second thing that I've noticed is really murky, and it's self-distancing or self-isolation. I feel really mixed about it because as part of my symptoms, sort of my diagnosis, I isolate a lot. It's one of the biggest things that I've been trying to understand or work with. I'm used to like trying to practice loving awareness towards my tendency to isolate, and right now it's being reinforced by society, and that's weird. It's weird because, right, like we know the big highlights, the big points of friendship and social bonding. They're like, social bonding is positively related to well-being, to physical health, to longevity. Social bonding is like, what is the shit? Like, social bonding is what you should aim for. It's like the hallmark of human life. And right now, on a community level, on a government level, on a global level, we're having this message that's like self-distance. And yeah, I just took notice that I've been using I've been using the reinforcement from society to really lean in heavily into a broad stretch of harmful patterns where I'm not saying like, hey, let's do this guideline, let's do this necessary step in society and find ways to still connect with others. Yeah, like I'm using this to affirm false beliefs of like not needing community or not needing social bonding, like, and it's not healthy for me. It's not healthy to sort of lean into old thoughts that I have been actively trying to change before this pandemic. So yeah, what am I trying to do about it? Y'all might be familiar if you have self-destructive thoughts of the concept or the idea of riding out an urge or riding the wave of a feeling that is hard. And I've been trying to use that lately of riding the urge or wave to isolate, to pull away, riding that wave and then like at the crest of it or like at the height of it, doing like an opposite action, which is a DBT skill. Instead of like pulling away as like the action that I take, I've been trying to like just like use like that impulsive urge to do something impulsive, but the opposite of what I want to do in that moment. So if I'm feeling really anxious about a friend texting me about, in a loving way about my safety, I will let myself feel that anxiety, let myself feel all that emotion, and then text them back. Just text them back, because usually I'd be like, I don't have to text them back, and then just like not text back for like a really long time. But instead it's like just doing it, not worrying about all of the other racing thoughts that I would have tied to whether or not the decision to communicate with friends and family, just doing it. So yeah, that's the tip that I have been leaning in on. It still is super hard. I don't think I've talked to anyone today. What I want to do, this might be an accountability check. I think I'm talking to a friend tomorrow on the phone, and that'll be good. But I also want to like try something new, like try Skyping or something like FaceTiming with a friend, like trying to use that urge to use the power of that impulse to do something that's like much beyond what I've conditioned myself to push away from. So we'll see. Or like watch movies, like the Netflix, that Chrome extension. I'd love to watch a movie with someone. Like that'd be so cool. So I'll keep thinking of things that I might try to do to connect with people, as a reminder that self-distancing doesn't mean neglecting connection or pushing away connection. I can still connect with people. The last thing that I've noticed as a mental health impact is maybe the murkiest of all. I know as a part of my depression, I can be really like locked in this silo or locked in this like very narrow framework of my life and narrow framework of how I exist in the world can be very like small. And this moment is showing me how communities, how societies, or governments, and how entire social systems are fluid, are adapting and changing to a crisis. And that's really surreal to watch. As much as it is a lot of perspective to have and hold on to, it also, I know that it primes or triggers times in my life when I have also felt that things are out of control, or when I've also felt like things are happening that are much, much beyond me and much beyond what I could ever do to fix it. And those are hard feelings. Those were hard feelings to have when I've had them, and it's a hard feeling now. And so my tip for that is like this video. It is me processing these thoughts or allowing myself space to process these thoughts, and sort of tease out what meaning I want to take from it. Knowing that it really is like my choice and my decision what I decide to use, what I decide to pour or put energy toward, and what I decide to leave behind or set down. Which is a lot harder than it sounds. I think that is it. I think that is it. I wish you a lot of safety. I wish that you were safe emotionally. I hope that there's so many buffers in your world to protect you from things that are really heavy. And I hope that we all find ways of coping that make this moment a little easier. Good luck. I hope things get better. And I will see you next time. Bye.